Out of every automatic ram ever bolted into a truck, only 3 survived to 300,000 miles. And the newest, smoothest one isn't on the list. I'm Buck, 12 years a Mopar dealer tech, every one of them rebuilt on my bench. Let's settle it. No fake numbers here. Just what I've seen survive and what I've seen fail. The question is, which 3 automatics actually go the distance, and why? And the answer comes down to the same thing every time. Simple and overbuilt beats clever and new. We're going in order, foundation first. So let's start with the one every other Ram transmission gets measured against. The TorqueFlite 727. If you don't know the name, you know its reputation, because it's the transmission that built Mopar's whole durability legend. A 3-speed automatic, built from 1962 through about 1991. In the Dodge trucks, they badged it the LoadFlite. Aluminum case, right around 160 pounds, and it sat behind damn near every Mopar V8 ever poured. The 440 Magnum, even the 426 Hemi. Simpson gear set, an overrunning clutch, 2 bands, and starting in 1978, a lockup converter on the back. And here's a piece most people don't know. When Dodge dropped the very first Cummins into a Ram back in 1989, the automatic they bolted behind that legendary diesel was a heavy-duty 727. The transmission that earned its name behind big block gas V8s was tough enough to hold the engine that started the entire Cummins dynasty. Keep that in your back pocket, because it matters the moment we get to pick number 2. Why does it last? Brute simplicity. This thing is hydraulically controlled. There's almost nothing electronic in it to fail. No solenoid pack making decisions. No computer chasing shift points. Just fluid pressure and valves and steel. It was overbuilt for the power it actually saw in a truck. It's dirt cheap to rebuild, and the parts are on every shelf in the country, and have been for 60 years. I've had one apart on my bench, and you could practically rebuild it on a kitchen table. That's why the drag racers love it, why the off-road and monster truck crowd beat on it, why it just refuses to break. When something is this simple, there's nothing to go wrong, and it's serviceable in a way nothing modern is. The 727 runs on 2 bands you can actually adjust. A few turns of a wrench brings the shifts back into spec without ever splitting the case. Try that on a late model unit and you're pulling the whole transmission. When something does wear on a 727, it tells you early, the fix is cheap, and almost any shop with some gray in the beard can handle it in a day. Here's the honest catch, and I won't dance around it. It's a 3-speed with no overdrive. It revs on the highway and it drinks fuel by any modern standard. This is an old truck transmission, the foundation, not something you'll find in a late model Ram. In 1990, they bolted an overdrive onto the back of it, and it became the 518, then the 46RH, and that bloodline runs straight to my second pick. But the 727 itself belongs in an old D-Series, or a Ram Charger. You'll find it behind the 318 and the 360 in the old D100s and D250s, behind the big blocks in the 3/4 and 1-ton work trucks, in the Ram Chargers, in the vans. Chrysler built millions of them across 30 years, and that's the other half of why they never die. There isn't a transmission shop in this country that hasn't rebuilt 100 of them, and there isn't a part inside one you can't have by tomorrow morning. I had a fellow bring me a 1985 Power Ram with the 727, original, never been apart, and he was sure it was finally dying. It wasn't. The fluid had never been changed in his ownership, and the bands were just out of adjustment. A fluid service, a band adjustment, and a new lockup solenoid, under $200, and he drove off. That transmission had outlived 3 engines in that truck, and it'll outlive the man driving it. Run Mopar's ATF plus 4 in it now. That fluid supersedes every old spec these were filled with. Keep the bands in adjustment, and a 727 will flat embarrass transmissions built 50 years after it. The 727 isn't just durable. It's the yardstick everything else on this list gets held up against. If you've got a clean one in an old square body, you're holding a piece of the very reason Mopar trucks earned their name. So change the fluid, keep the band set, and hand it down to somebody. If you're getting something out of this, do me a favor. Hit subscribe and drop a comment below telling me which transmission is in your truck right now. I read every comment that comes in, and it's how I decide what to pull apart next. Now the second pick, and it's the 727's bloodline, grown all the way up, the 48RE, a 4-speed automatic, 2003 through 2007, bolted behind the 5.9 common rail Cummins in the heavy-duty trucks. And here's the lineage, because it matters. The 727 became the 518, then the 46RH, then the 47RE, and finally the 48RE. Same DNA, evolved and beefed up at every step. This is the strongest, final version of that whole line. And notice what changed along the way, because it's the key to this entire transmission. The original 727 had nothing electronic in it at all. As Chrysler added overdrive, then lockup, then computer control through the 90s, the 47RE got an electronic governor in 1996. They made the transmission smarter and more efficient, but they also handed it something that could fail. Hold that thought, and here's the bookend I promised you. The 727 was behind the first Cummins in '89. The 48RE was behind the last of the 5.9 Cummins in '07. The same bloodline carried that legendary engine from its very first mile to its very last. That's the toughest automatic line Mopar ever built, doing the heaviest job Mopar ever asked of one. Why does it last? Because it carries that stout bloodline and adds heavier clutches and heavier bands to handle diesel torque. Kept stock, maintained, sitting behind a stock Cummins that isn't being hot-rodded, the 48RE will see 300,000 miles without drama. And here's the proof of how strong the core really is. The aftermarket builds these things to handle 650 horsepower, 1,000 horsepower, levels that would turn a lesser transmission into shrapnel. When a unit can be built that far past its factory rating, you know the bones are right. Now the honest weak point, and this is where I get to call the dealer out. The 48RE's Achilles heel isn't the gears or the clutches. It's a little electronic pair called the governor pressure solenoid and the governor pressure transducer. They control shift pressure, and when they go bad you get harsh shifts, erratic shifts, overdrive cutting in and out, sometimes limp mode, and a shift code on the scanner. Now here's the thing, that's a known, cheap, fixable part, a few $100s and an afternoon. But I have watched dealers take a truck with a bad governor solenoid and quote the owner a complete rebuilt transmission, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, for what's a couple $100 electronic fix. I've had those exact trucks come to my shop for a second opinion, and I fixed the solenoid and the transducer and sent them home. Do not let anybody sell you a transmission when the governor pressure parts are acting up. Fix the parts first, and know the symptom so you can name it yourself. If your 48RE starts slamming into gear, hunting for overdrive, or dropping into limp mode with a governor pressure code on the scanner, that's almost always the solenoid and transducer talking, not the guts of the transmission. The two parts together are under $200. A good independent shop has them in and out in an afternoon. Walk in knowing that, and no service writer alive can frighten you into a rebuild you don't need. The other honest caveat: stock, it's a survivor. But it becomes the weak link the second somebody straps a big tuner on the Cummins and starts making serious power. The guys who kill 48REs aren't the ones towing stock and changing the ATF +4 on time. They're the ones chasing horsepower the transmission was never asked to hold. Leave it close to stock, service the fluid, swap that governor solenoid and transducer the day it starts misbehaving. And it's a 300,000-mile transmission. Abuse it with power and all bets are off. If you're shopping an '03 to '07 Cummins with the automatic, here's what to do. Drive it cold and then hot. Feel for clean 1, 2, and 2, 3 shifts. Make sure overdrive locks and stays locked. And pull the dipstick. The ATF +4 should be red and smell clean, not brown and burnt. A truck with service records and a stock or near-stock tune is the one you want. I had an '05 2500 Cummins come in last year. 280,000 miles on the original 48RE. Owner sure it was finally done, because it was flaring on the 2-3 shift and throwing a code. Everybody he'd called quoted him a rebuild. I scanned it, saw the governor pressure code, and put in a new solenoid and transducer with a fresh filter and ATF +4. $600 out the door instead of $4,000, and it shifted like the day it was built. 280,000 miles on the original unit. That's the 48RE when you don't let a dealer panic you. Now the third pick, and this is the one that probably lives in your driveway. The 545RFE. A 5-speed automatic, 2001 and up. The transmission behind the 4.7 and the 5.7 Hemi in the half-ton trucks. It runs ATF plus 4. It's not glamorous. Nobody brags about it at a truck meet. And it's one of the quietly toughest automatics Ram ever built. It showed up in 2001 and ran most of the decade behind the 4.7 and the Hemi, which means if your truck is an early to mid-2000s half-ton, this is almost certainly what's under it. Tens of millions of miles of real-world duty have proven it out. It was never the smoothest shifting unit Ram made, and never the most advanced. It's just the one that keeps turning up at 300,000 miles, still doing its job. Why does it last? Because it's simple, it's forgiving, and it refuses to die expensive. This is the everyman survivor. It won my own survivability comparison on this channel for exactly this reason. When it does need help, the help is cheap, and any independent shop in the country can do the work without flinching. It doesn't have a fragile electronic brain that costs more than the truck to replace. It doesn't have some exotic component nobody stocks. It just keeps working, and when it finally needs attention, it asks for it politely and cheaply. There is one electronic part worth knowing about. The 545RFE runs a solenoid pack that controls its shifts, and as the miles stack up, it can wear and throw a code or a soft, lazy shift. Here's the good news. It's a bolt-on part that lives where you can reach it, not buried in the bottom of the case. A few $100s and it's behind you. That's the worst electronic news this transmission has for you, and next to a buried unit that costs more than the truck, it's nothing. Here's the honest weak point, and it's not really a flaw in the transmission at all. It's fluid. The 545RFE is sensitive to its ATF plus 4. Old, burnt, low fluid is what kills these, not a design defect. Let the fluid cook and go too long, and the torque converter and the clutches pay for it. Keep fresh fluid in it on a real interval, not the dealer's lifetime fill fairy tale, a real interval, and it'll run past 300,000 miles without ever opening the case. The service is cheap. Any corner shop can do it. That's the whole secret. So here's the number that matters. Service that fluid and the filter somewhere around every 30 to 60,000 miles, and use real Mopar ATF plus 4, nothing else. These are picky about fluid, and the wrong stuff makes them shift like a truck full of gravel. The dealer who told you it was filled for life was protecting a service department, not your transmission. A drain and fill is the cheapest, highest return thing you will ever do to a Ram. I had a customer with a 2007 Hemi truck, 240,000 miles, came in convinced the transmission was on its way out because it felt lazy shifting. I pulled the pan. The fluid was dark and tired, and the filter was partly clogged. He'd never serviced it because the dealer told him he never had to. Drain and fill, new filter, fresh ATF plus 4, under $250. It shifted like a new truck when it left, and I'd bet money it's still running today. That's the 545RFE in a sentence. Treat the fluid like it matters, and it carries you. One note on its relatives, so you don't get confused. The later units in that family, the 65RFE and the 66RFE, brought more gears and more complication, and with them, more trouble. The 545RFE sits right in the sweet spot of that family. Enough gears to be usable on the highway, simple enough to last. If you own a Hemi truck from the 2000s or the early 2010s, you very likely own one of the most durable automatics Ram ever made, and you didn't even know it. So if that's your truck, don't go borrowing trouble. Don't let a shop talk you into a rebuild on a unit that only needs fluid and maybe a solenoid pack. Pull the dipstick. Make sure the ATF plus 4 is clean. Get it serviced if it's been ignored, and then drive it with confidence. You're sitting on one of the great quiet survivors. Now let me get ahead of the question I know some of you are typing already. Where's the 8-speed? The ZF-based TorqueFlite 8 from 2013 on. And I'll tell you straight, it's a genuinely excellent transmission. Smooth, efficient, strong when it's serviced right. I'm not knocking it. But it's not on this list, and the reason is the whole point of this list. It's new and it's complex. It's got a mechatronic brain integrated into the unit, Far more going on inside it than anything I've named today. That mechatronic assembly, the computer, the valve body, and the sensors all built into one piece inside the transmission, is a marvel when it works. But when it fails out of warranty, you're not adjusting a band or bolting in a $200 solenoid. You're often looking at an assembly that runs 4 figures before anyone turns a wrench, and not every shop will even touch it. That's the trade for all that smoothness and all those gears. And it has no proven 300,000-mile track record yet. Not because it can't get there, but because not enough of them have, and the ones that fail are expensive to fix once the warranty's gone. Ask me again in a decade and it might earn its spot. Same goes for the heavy-duty 68 RFE and the 66 RFE, capable units, but not the simple, proven survivors this list is about. This list doesn't reward the newest or the smoothest. It rewards proven and simple. That's the difference between a transmission that drives nice for 100,000 miles and one that's still alive at 300. And before the comments fill up, yes, the manuals. The Getrag, the NV4500, the G56 behind the Cummins. A well-treated manual will outlast every automatic on this list, because there's even less inside to go wrong. But most of you are running an automatic, so the stick-shift survivors are a video of their own. Because here's what all 3 of these share. The 727, the 48RE, the 545 RFE, they're all simple, they're all overbuilt for the job, and they're all proven over decades. And every single one of them lives or dies on the same thing. Clean fluid, changed on time. The foundation, its heavy-duty peak, and the modern gas survivor sitting in your driveway. The newest, cleverest transmission Ram builds isn't on this list, and that is exactly the lesson. For the man chasing high mileage, the proven and well-kept beats the new and complicated every time. And look at what each of these 3 actually cost to keep alive. A band adjustment and a fluid service on a 727. A $200 solenoid and a fluid change on a 48RE. A drain and fill on a 545 RFE. None of it needs a dealer, a special tool, or a second mortgage. That's no coincidence. A transmission you can afford to maintain is a transmission that actually gets maintained. So here's the one thing to do with all of this. Change the fluid. ATF +4, on a real interval, not the lifetime fill lie. It's the cheapest insurance there is, and it's the single thing that decides whether your transmission sees 300,000 miles or dies at 150. Next week I'm laying out the 3 Ram transmissions I'd never trust past 150,000 miles. The ones I'd walk away from. Subscribe so you don't miss it. That's it from the shop. See you then.